Right, so guys, my name's Trevor. I'm from Trade On Point. We're going to be doing some live trading today. So guys, I don't like to sell myself as a signal service. That's not what I really want to do. I want to more just show you how I trade the London Open, and we'll get that sorted. A little bit unshaven. I'm on holidays at the moment, so just bear with me. That's my scruffy look. All right, so there we go. We're all set up. So the charts that I'm streaming at the moment, we've got the S&P futures, the September contract, 2020, yeah, we are live on there as well. And I'm also streaming the NASDAQ, which we'll leave the NASDAQ on. We had a good run on the NASDAQ yesterday. That last trade was an absolute ripper. And I did see the question from you, Marcus. Just if you can hear me, guys, if you can just type a Y into the chat, that'd be great. Thank you. And to work out how the TAS boxes work, so I'm going to show you that today on how we actually trade these TAS boxes and why they work so well. All right, so on my anchor charts, we've got let's have a look. S&P, yeah, it looks like I think this S&P is going to it's just not breaking the high on the last 4-hour candle, I think, and the VIX is starting to go sideways. I'd like the VIX to break up. FTSE's trying to head higher into the open. I think we'll certainly get a reversal of that. Mark my words, with 7,004. That's almost a given. And we've got the S&P futures doing nothing. And the Dow futures. All right, so let's see which way this market's going to go this morning. It's funny how I have that many screens and I've still run out of space. I could do it another one just here. So the way that I have my trading desk set up is I have my 4-hour charts over here, because I'm going to start doing some more swing trading. I've made a ripper on one of my accounts, swing trading, and absolutely killed it. So I want to start swing trading, because my system works so well. Actually, swing trading. And so anyway, I've got 4-hour charts over here. I've got my fives up top here, just on my MetaTrader, so I know what's going on there. I've got in front of me, I've got my 2 NinjaTrader charts. And I like the NinjaTrader because I like watching, especially on the ES, I like watching my order flow. And then, because you can kind of see whether you can time your entries to get them almost perfect. Look at that footage still going up. And then up here, I've got my hourlies. So I've got 4 hours hourlies. So I kind of have a look at the 4 hours. I know what's going on there. Kind of got that in my head. I've got the VIX on the end. I'll give you a bit of a rundown. Let me see if I can try and get this. Let's see. So hopefully you can see on the camera there. So you've got the 4 hours, then you've got the fives up at the top, and then this is kind of what my active trader station here. That's just one of my accounts that I trade. I always like the Ichimoku, as you probably know from 10 years ago, and then I've got my hourlies up here. So that's kind of what we're doing. All right, so you can see on this chart over here, so just follow my cursor, middle screen on the NASDAQ, we're retesting that low value area. So the way that this works is the way that the TAS boxes work, and they're fantastic indicators. They have, you have a time period, right? And you look where most of your volume was traded in that time period. And that's the nice thing about using futures is we go through the exchange, and we end up we're able to see exactly, exactly how many were traded. Now once we do that, we can then sort my charts out here. Once we do that, we can then see where most of the volume was traded. So then you have this low value area, which is the green line that represents. So, and then the high value area. So it's said to be in equilibrium, or it's said to be at fair value if the stocks or the Forex pair or the future or whatever you're trading, commodity is trading between the green lines and the red lines. Am I going to be able to fit another chart in here? Probably not. So if it's trading between those, it's in fair value. If it's trading below, then you get a break below the low value area. And if it trades above, then you get a break above the high value area. So let me get my NASDAQ on. All right. So you can see now we're trying to break high. We're closing above the high value area. Now, what's really important is this other indicator. Let's just get that down there. Which is the bluey line, and that's your point of control. So if I'm not stuttering, or I'm just watching what's hitting the bid. It's 8:01, so we're just cruising into the market now. Oh, nice. And FTSE is up by 8 points. So a nice rally into the open. Certainly going to take advantage of that. Okay, connected to Interact Brokers. Happy days. And right. All right, okay. All right, so I'm going to short. I'm going to short this. I'm going to short the. I'm going to short the ES in a second. So I've just loaded up my NinjaTrader 8. I do just so I can get my jigsaw depth of market. I'm looking for a good entry. You can see how we rallied. We hit that the high value area, and we essentially bounced off of that. We are still trading up on the ES, so you don't want to jump in early. So we're still getting still hitting the offer. So you can see here, so what I'm looking at is basically, I'm looking at whether we're hitting the bid or whether we're hitting the offer. If we're hitting the offer, we're going to be hitting green. If we're hitting the bid, we're hitting red. So that's what you can see at the moment. And you can see, so I'm not even really worried about price at the moment. I'm kind of watching price, but I'm more glued to this guy here. Now, this guy is in sim because this is coming from, this is NinjaTrader 7, the charts. The depth of market is coming up from my NinjaTrader 8, as you can see from the bottom of the screen. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. But we are going to be trading this on real accounts, real money, of course. So here we go. So I want to, and looking at so the FTSE still heading higher. Looking at my hourlies, I want to see if we're going to double top here. I want to see if I can scalp a few points lower. We've got 42.97. We can get up to that even number would be even better. But we can see already we're starting to get a bit more volume coming in. We've got 127 traded at the bid. So I'm going to be shorting a contract here. Okay, so I'm short on my I'm short on my there you go. Okay, I'm short on the ES 42.97. Let me just get rid of these. I don't like the text and markers on here. I will put the markers only. Right. All right, we're in the swing of things now. Right, our stop's kind of going to be probably at the round number. And the FTSE is still pushing higher. I don't like that. What's our VIX doing? VIX is, put that on the 15-minute chart. Interesting to see. I was having a look at news that was coming out. So the news, obviously, what I do is I go into Forex Factory and we have a look at what news is going to affect the market. And we can see that we've got Spanish manufacturing coming out. It's not really going to do anything. It's at 8:15. We've got another 6 minutes. I don't think it's going to do much. So just at our break-even price, the FTSE is still climbing. Not really doing much on here. We are hitting resistance at the moment. We are hitting resistance. Just want to see what my delay is doing there. No.
Dad, are you done?
No. Now I have my bill. This reminds me of yesterday. We took our first trade was a lose, and our second trade we made back everything and pretty much doubled our. Just 1 second. I mean, there's a fair bit of volume going through the market for this time of the day. I mean, they're all small contracts, of course. But we can see that, I mean, 45 just hit the bid. 45 hit the bid, 1 hit the ask. There's a whole bunch more, you know, but it looks like I mean, look at that 88.94. As and we're building, look at that 132 added to the ask or to the offer, depending on where you're from. But at the same time, as they add in there, we're getting the same amount of volume being added. Maybe if I can put it like that and squeeze it onto the chart there. We still need to go down a bit more. There you go. Okay. So you can see what I've put on the chart there. I've essentially put on the depth of market and what orders are going or flowing through the market. So you can see here what's happening is if you look at this, I'll clear it out the center column. So you can see 4 have just been traded at the offer, 5 at the offer, 12 at the offer, 17 at the offer, 1 at the bid. So you would expect that to almost tick up. It's trying to tick up, and as soon as it ticks up, you've got 33 traded at the bid. So those are just market orders coming in. You can see we're pulling from just before there, you can see we're starting to pull from the offer. The minute we pull from the offer, we expect price to tick up, and at the same time, you can see on the blue, we're adding to the bids. You can see there, so it just rallied a couple ticks, and that's, you can see as we saw all the volume being added to the bid, volume being taken away from the offer. Now we can see over here we've got volume being added to the offer. So it's coming close to my stop. I don't want to give too much away on this trade, and then we'll have to wait for another one. I mean, potentially it was a nice little long. My friend's going to be killing me at the moment. So you can see now we're piling and we increasing volume on the offer. Volume is getting pulled from the bid, and obviously we've got that big rejection candle. You can see look at that, how close we came to our stop. And look at that, the Nasdaq. The whole time we've literally just ripped up on the FTSE. Or the UK 100, as it's called in most CFD platforms. The Nasdaq didn't really move. We had that slight move up in the Nasdaq, but the ES and the being the S&P 500 futures and the FTSE moved together. I don't like that candle on the 4-hour chart. So this bar at present, we've got this rejection candle. So we just want to be careful. So we've got another TAS box forming here. High value area at 429825. You can see they're piling on the bid at the moment, so I'm going to ditch this trade. Just reined my stop in a little bit now as well. We close above the high value area, I'm out, and then I'll wait for my next trade. Now I'll need to restore trend to 5. Okay, guys, I'm closing that trade, so I'm down 2 points at the moment. 2 points on that trade. That's unfortunately trading. We have to take the good with the bad. See, it's funny how the Nasdaq. I mean, look at this. The Nasdaq. We haven't even moved. Kind of see we're just trading within this range. We're slowly moving up. We pulled it back right down to our break-even point there, but I think this FTSE is just dragging it up. There's obviously something coming on in the news at the moment that we're not privy to. I had a look at what's coming out. There's not much coming out, even on IB. There's nothing. Let's have a look what we're doing. still pushing higher, so I'm glad I got out there. We've gone straight to that round number. It's amazing the resilience of this market. It just continues to grind higher. I'm just, should entry, but I did want to short this. I'm just going to give this a point, maybe a point and a half leeway. This is literally just a short. I'm just trading off the DOM at the moment. Yeah, we've got a bit of an imbalance going on at the moment, which I want to take advantage of if it goes in my favor. A lot of shorts are coming on. Look at that, 238 being added. Equally, people piling into the bid at the moment. FTSE's also hit its highs, starting to retrace a little bit. Nasdaq, on the other hand, is trying to break out. Like I said, I'm just going to give this a point. No, I'm out again. Let me just put let's go get my tally up here so we can keep a nice log of what we're doing. So that trade, all it was I saw an imbalance on the chart, and I wanted to try and take advantage of that. Obviously, it didn't work in my favor, which is why I just decided to dump the trade. And this is the joys of scalping, because I'll scalp now and I'll get another signal, and hopefully I'll get everything back, and then I've got to obviously start again. But you can see this imbalance over here. This is kind of what I was playing out, but now we can see the Nasdaq starting to take off. All right, so I'm still looking for a new trade. I'm just going to let this market settle down. Like I said, I still think, although we've had this massive breakout of this triangle, you know, and it's trading that round number as well. There's going to be a lot of interest at 4,300, this level here. I thought we would have got a bit of rejection here. I mean, there's our entry over it. There's our exit over there. There's our entry down here. But it was such an obvious short yesterday as well. We're not seeing that happen today. But I mean, yesterday we also had where we had to wait for that first hour, and then we managed to get a good trade. See the volume over there, where my mouse is at the moment. Not a lot traded above it, and even less at 43.01.5. We're hitting the high value area on the NASDAQ. Market's still resilient, still heading up. So the trade of the day was probably to take that TAS box break, take that long trade on the TAS box. Whereas we had that rejection candle here, that's where we got in, and unfortunately it's gone against us. So I wouldn't want to jump in long now because I think I've missed the boat. I'd need a retracement and then something else to form before I can get into this trade. It's very difficult. Once you miss the train, don't try and jump on. That's my trading, of course. And guys, like I said, always, do your own analysis. This is pretty much how I trade. This is how I enjoy trading. We're not a signal service. We're just more of a local chat room, hoping to pass on our education. God, look at it, just canyon high. What an awesome trade long. Nasdaq's just taking off at the moment. FTSE's just taking off. And there's no news coming out. That's what's just bear with me 1 second. So now it's just patience. Still getting offers pulled. Just trying to get a handle on what's actually moved this market. I mean, we've jumped up almost 7 points.
Leisure coming to us because of we're offering higher paid jobs for cabin crew and pilots. There's a huge oversupply of pilots in the market.
FTSE up 87 points. I mean that's just ridiculous on the FTSE.
Just a costed trade.
Minutes into our trading session that is proving very positive. The first trading day of the second half of 2021. We made it to July, and we see European equity markets very much on the front foot, up by more than 1% on all of the major markets. Let's step away from the immediate market themes and think about some geopolitics for a moment, as we have live pictures coming to us from Hong Kong. Protesters are gathering at Causeway Bay. It is the 24th anniversary of Hong Kong.
Okay, I'm going to try another shorten it. Yes.
You see media heavily in attendance, police heavily in attendance.
So traded into the bid market price 43.02 and 3/4.
Today it is the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party as well. So another reason why we might be seeing.
Just trying to send that chart over.
They risked arrest by participating in unauthorized assemblies. So we'll just keep across those pictures for you as they develop. Let's turn our focus, though, to equality. And according to some new research, mediocre male managers are holding women back across financial services. This is according to a report by the London School of Economics and Women in Banking and Finance. Women are held to a higher standard of work, the report argues, with average performing men more likely to stay in the sector because they fit the social norm of what a worker in the industry looks like. Joining us now is Grace Mordan, Director of the Inclusion Initiative at the London School of Economics. Grace, really nice to have you with me on the programme. So tell us about the research. Interesting headlines, interesting conclusions. So how on earth do you gather evidence, gather data that tells that story?
Well, first, Anna, thank you for having me on today. I really appreciate it. So this study is part of a 4-year program with Women Banking and Finance. And in the first part of the study, which happened earlier last year, the Wisdom Council conducted a survey of 2,000 men and women in financial and professional services. And what was striking and what came really through in that quantitative survey was the differences between the norms in how men and women are perceived within financial services. The second thing that was really striking was the differences that came through were really dependent on function. So we saw very different perceptions for women who were working in areas that had high shares of men versus lower shares of men. So as a second part of that study, we did a qualitative report, which I led this year. We recruited 44 women, 11 black women. We intentionally focused on areas that had high shares of men. So we had, participants from the trading floor, we had participants who were investment bankers. And then secondly, we actually looked at people who were coming from communications and compliance. And the idea that we had was to try to think about themes that were holding both of those functions back, with the idea that we might be able to generalize from financial services. This qualitative piece of research is quite special, Anna, because rather than me recruiting the women, which typically happens, they were recruited by 3 London recruiters that all specialize in very, very different areas. So we do think that we've kind of circumvented the selection problem. And what came through in that research really was the importance of the role of the manager. So if you were lucky enough to have a good manager and got opportunities to shine, you would have this accelerated progression. And if you ended up with a manager that ended up being called in the media the mediocre manager, then that sexy headline really has detrimental impacts for the women that they manage.
Okay, and what you also talk about is that there are still people who recruit people who are just like them, and that's one of the issues that financial services.
Yeah, not much going on. I seem to be trying to pull up another chart of the FTSE futures. It's amazing. I use a CFD provider just because I've got some of my indicators on there from MetaTrader 4. And then I look at that and I look at my spreads on the futures. And it's just daylight robbery. You know, when you're paying a full point on the ES as opposed to a quarter of a tick. Yeah, I just think it's ludicrous. You know, you can understand things like the FTSE or the NASDAQ where you've got a slightly wider spread, but the ES being so, it's the most traded instrument in the world by volume. When we shouldn't be, you know, a full point, sometimes a point and a quarter. Yeah, in there. Yeah, we're pretty much just sideways, guys. I'm going to take a short break. I'm just going to mute my mic. I have my stop locked in. With an allocator. I mean, what? I'm talking about being on the wrong side of the trade. I mean, we've done so well over this last week. It's while I'm annoyed that I read the hourly chart wrong, and obviously I've traded into that, and that's you know, that's obviously my my plan for the day. I probably could have managed my trades a little bit better, but anyway. So we need to be smashing the offer at the moment. Okay, guys, I am back. So again, look, I've tried to play this market just using the order flow. It's obviously we've got something coming in that I just can't find out what it is, but I'm going to call it a night or a day because the market's still, it's still just ripping higher. But I mean, having said that, every time we prop up, we just got this heavy volume. So you look at the Nasdaq's come down. Look at that massive rejection candle there. That rejection candle, or bar, should I say? Just because my other charts have candles on. But certainly has been. So that would be my first losing day for the week. So hopefully I can turn it around tomorrow. And it was very silly. My friend's going to call me in a second, I'm sure, because he would have taken these trades long. Nevertheless, well, all right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I will see you tomorrow. If you're joining us on YouTube, please sign up for our to our Click Meeting account, which is through Trade on Point. Like I said, this is probably the first day where we haven't come out in the positive for probably the last 6 weeks. And I was probably just a little bit too cocky today, thinking I was going to get that rollover, and clearly it didn't roll over. We're just pushing higher. But when you look at the charts, the charts are literally, especially the 5-minute chart. Look at it. It's just, and honestly, I don't know. But anyway, that's what the charts are telling us. But we will be back again tomorrow. All right, guys. Thanks very much. I'll see you tomorrow.